formerly of MSNBC, Fox News, and TYT. He is the creator of the YouTube channel Status Coup. He's Jordan Sheridan. Hey, Jordan. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Jimmy. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. And he's here with our of course, everybody knows you love him. You know him, you love him. Ron Placone. Hey, Ron, how are you?
What's up, Jimmy? How's it going?
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you.
I want to just compliment Jordan on his demeanor while just having to navigate tech problems. Because when
literally before I came on, my camera didn't stop working. So that's what.
So when I have to take care of tech problems, I am not good. I do not handle tech problems. I get immediately uptight, wound tight, fucking snappy. I immediately get snappy and come on, get the fucking.
That's what I usually say. Go, leave the room.
I did press the button. I'm pressing the button.
Did you force quit?
I force quit. It's not fucking responding. Restart? Should I restart? I fucking hate tech. All right, but the reason why Jordan is here, is that my neighbor's horn? So the reason why Jordan is here is because independent media, as you know, is under attack these days. Jordan, your channel's reporting has been featured on all news channels, newspapers, and even a part of the Congressional Record. Yet YouTube is threatening to take you off their platform for that same reporting. Tell us what's happening with your channel on Status Coup.
Yeah, so my cameraman, John, was at the Capitol. His live stream, I think he was one of the first ones to go live on the Capitol attack on January 6th. And he was live for hours. His footage went viral around the world. That image of the police officer's face, battered into the door that CNN and ABC and NBC and all these channels used. So all of a sudden, it started about a month or so. Well, yeah, it started about a month or so ago. We started getting takedown notices. They actually took down that live stream, which I think was pretty historic. They'll use it in schools. They'll use it. They're using it. They used it in the Congressional Record, like you said. And the takedown notices were citing that we were advancing false claims of election fraud. The journalists covering the event were advancing the false claims. So, I went into the automated nightmare of appealing. And it's not really a process. You don't talk to anyone. So you press appeal, then they rubber stamp their rejection, and on we go. And just coincides, Jimmy, that as they kept taking down these videos, our views and subscriber growth at Status Coup just fell off a cliff. I mean, literally, I looked like 2 weeks ago. It said for like the last 30 days, we were down like 130% or something crazy like that. So then yesterday morning, we wake up that not only are they taking down the videos, but now they were warning us that the next time they find a video, quote, advancing election fraud claims, they were going to give us a copyright strike. And everybody knows, it's 3 strikes and you're out on YouTube. So the only thing you could do is really these days is post a tweet, ask people to share it and fight back. And that's what I did yesterday. Of all outlets, Fox News is the only one to do a fair article on what happened with our channel. And YouTube's response was basically absurd. I pointed out to Fox, why is it that CNN has the exact same footage, the exact same content, reporters interviewing Trump supporters, and by the way, pushing back on the election fraud claims. And YouTube's response was, I guess CNN was more educational in their challenge or some nonsense. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're being threatened by YouTube to give us a strike. And, at this point, I'm a little, I don't know if we're going to get 3 strikes the way YouTube's operating.
No,
there's
Jordan,
definitely
Can I ask a question?
a threat of removal. Yeah.
How the heck could they give you a copyright strike on footage that y'all shot yourselves? Like, that's absurd.
Now, Ron, a community guideline strike.
Okay. Gotcha.
So not a copyright strike. This is a community guideline strike. And the takedown notices, we've gotten about 10 since the Capitol attack, have said this is spam or they're violating their spam policy or false advertising or advancing election fraud claims. And the whole thing is preposterous because literally our footage has been picked up by the cable news outlets and all these outlets that put it on YouTube. So the original source is being taken down, but the cable outlets that pick it up, they're just fine. And it's obviously bullshit. They're not actually coming after us because we're, quote, sowing disinformation. They're coming after us because we're not CNN and we're independent outlets. One of the few, might I add, that was at the Capitol and at any of these events. And Jimmy has pointed out many times, there's no process. There's no judicial process. It's all punitive. It's just at YouTube's whim. They could take you down. And just tonight, they finally responded to my tweet only because it got, a lot of traction on social media and it got an article on Fox News. But, most people don't get that lucky to even get any traction when YouTube drops its hammer on them. So it really is getting to a point where it's just been accepted that YouTube is making this shit up as they go. They are coming after the journalists who covered these events. When you're a journalist covering the events, it doesn't mean you're pushing the claims. It just means you're covering it. And frankly, YouTube is probably making the problem worse if they're trying to push conspiracies off, because by doing this, they're feeding the conspiracy theories.
It's exactly right. If what they're trying to do is get rid of crazy conspiracy theories on YouTube, what they're actually doing is throwing gas on the fire. And what's crazy, Jordan, is that you're not your regular run-of-the-mill YouTube jagoff, right? You're out there actually doing real reporting. You're at major news outlets pick up your reporting all the time. You're doing the reporting on the ground that American journalists don't fucking do anymore. You're doing it. You're going to places like Flint, Michigan. You're out there interviewing workers and people affected by COVID. You're at the Capitol on the ground. That's why all the news agencies use your videos. They put them in their news reports. They put their news reports on YouTube. They get advertising on it, and then they take your video down and say you're some kind of a bad actor. And so what? And people say, well, YouTube's a private company. No. What we all want is a level playing field. That's all we want. We want you to treat our content the same way you treat CNN's content or MSNBC's content or Bloomberg's or Yahoo News. We want you to or Fox News. We want you to treat our content the same way you treat their content, but they don't do that, and they won't even acknowledge, Jordan, that there is more than one algorithm. So when I speak to YouTube people, they will deny that there is a corporate algorithm that pushes a CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and that kind of news, and they will deny that there is a separate one for independent news like you and me. And we all know, of course, there is. Otherwise, their videos would be getting taken down because they're using the exact same footage, literally your footage in their video, and yours is getting taken down and theirs isn't. Now, it's so chilling, right? And so you say, well, Jordan doesn't have a right to YouTube. Well, that is an unfair advantage to give CNN, Bloomberg, MSNBC, Fox News, ABC News. Everybody else gets to have the advantage of the YouTube social media platform, but Jordan Sheridan doesn't. That's not a level playing field. So go ahead,
and
Jordan.
Also, I'll add, Trump tweeted out in his final stretch there, repeal Section 230. I'm not saying repeal section, for those who don't know, not to get in the weeds, but it basically gives YouTube, Facebook, Twitter blanket liability for everything on their platform.
Not blanket liability, but blanket immunity.
Immunity. Thank you. Immunity. So basically, YouTube wants to have it both ways. On one end, they're saying, we're not a publisher, we're a platform. We don't decide anything. We're just a platform, so you can't regulate us. But we're going to make the editorial decision that CNN's reporter that pushed back on the Trump supporter, they provided the proper context and educational whatever. But Status Quo, who doesn't, give sexual favors to our corporate advertisers, they didn't provide the proper context and education or whatever their ridiculous response was when Fox covered this yesterday. I mean, it's preposterous. YouTube every day is making editorial decision on what is appropriate, what is not, what adds to context, what does not. And
Just like a publisher.
It's absurd.
So-
and you can't just say it's a private platform when it's a monopoly.
That's right.
If there were other, let do what you got, Rockfin and all these things. I'm not saying don't spread your content around. We are Status Cruises on Rockfin and Twitch, but it's a monopoly. The Google basically rigs the internet so that YouTube is the number one. So, it's easy for people to say, well, leave, go somewhere else. Well, you could go somewhere else, but that doesn't mean you'll be able to pay your workers or get seen. So it really is preposterous. And I'll say it's really chilling because we're getting to a point, Jimmy, if you're like an independent field reporter, obviously this doesn't apply to CNN, whatever. What do I got to check with YouTube before I send a reporter somewhere or before I go somewhere to make sure it's appropriate?
Can you watch this video? Is it educational enough? Is the educational value there? Is this up to CNN's rigorous standards?
So,
and it's also, Jimmy, you know this because you're in the grind. I mean, my partner Jen and I, we've been working 6-7 days a week for 3 years just to get past 100,000 subscribers. I mean, YouTube, this isn't just YouTube. It's a full-time purpose, what we do. I mean, we're trying to balance doing the investigative work with doing, as many live streams and daily content as we can. So whether it's Ron or you or others, Graham, we're all working extremely hard to build our channels, to cover these stories. It's not a hobby. And you have big tech basically, just like that. We're going to issue a strike, or we're going to demonetize you, or we're going to remove you, and there's no process. I mean, it is chilling. And, if people think it's not even a left versus right thing, because they're doing this to the right wing too. And they're doing this, frankly, to people not even in the news and politics category. They're suppressing and doing other things to all genres. So it really is a chilling thing. And, I don't see Brian Stelter or Eric Wemple of the Washington Post or Jake Tupperware at CNN. I don't see any of them. They care about freedom of the press when it's Trump threatening them.
Yes.
They don't care about freedom of the press when it's, a non-corporate journalist.
So I just want to the people are going to make the argument. We've already addressed it that, you don't have a right to YouTube's platform. They're a private company. But let me, so is the company, the electric company in Chicago is also private, Commonwealth Edison, right? But they don't get to decide who gets. They don't. Hey, I don't like your speech, so I'm not going to send electricity to your house. Right wingers, left wingers, libertarians, communists, socialists. They all have the same right to electricity coming to their house. The same thing with phone service. You don't get to decide who gets phone service because I don't like what they're saying in their phone conversation. No, we all have the same right. We all have the same access and the same right. We're all treated exactly the same when it comes to phone service, electricity, and we should also now, because we live in the 21st century, we should now all have the same access to social media platforms that are monopolies, because that's how people communicate, including major media networks. That's why CNN's on YouTube. That's why MSNBC, ABC, they're all on YouTube, and and they have a monopoly. There's no other social media platform that comes close to competing with YouTube, and Google and Facebook control 80% of all the news information, the flow of information that all Americans see and read. So that's dangerous, because then just two companies can control the political discourse in America. And so we're trying to say you got to make this into public utilities. You got to stop YouTube from doing this there's no review. Like you said, there's no review. If people are doing things that are illegal, there's already speech laws. There are already laws against illegal speech, and there's already law enforcement agencies that will take care of that. And the reason why YouTube and Facebook and Twitter cannot be sued, you brought this up. So if someone slanders me in a book, if someone legally slanders me, I can sue the publisher for publishing that. But if someone slanders me on Twitter or YouTube, I cannot sue YouTube or Twitter for that, because they have immunity from that because they're not considered publishers. But when they start acting like a publisher, meaning they're taking down individual videos and they're starting to curate their content, then they are a publisher and they should be allowed to be sued. I'm not saying that we should sue YouTube and Twitter. I'm saying they should not be considered publishers and they shouldn't be allowed to curate. That should be up to if someone's breaking a law, the government comes in and says you're breaking a law, not community standards that are vague, opaque, and always fluctuating and changing. So that's what we talk about with Section 230. The reason why you can't sue Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube is because they have this special protection that they're not considered publishers. But what they are doing is the equivalent of a bookstore owner going into a book and blacking out some of the words inside that book and putting it back on the shelf. That's what YouTube is doing. And I think when you put it in those terms, everybody could see that's pretty messed up. And so if they're allowed to do that, black out some of the lines inside the book, you should be allowed to sue them. And you're not. And so that's what you're talking about. Trump wanted to get rid of that protection. So if they're going to act like publishers, let's treat them like publishers. If they're going to decide what content gets published, then they're publishers. So that's exactly, but they're not. But of course, the Biden administration is now in bed with Silicon Valley. And that's why they're even to the point now they're getting rid of dislikes on YouTube because every time Joe Biden gives a speech, it gets 15 million dislikes and they don't want to have that humiliation. So I'm sorry, did you want to say something, Jordan?
Oh, Facebook the other day when like pictures came out about Hunter Biden, all of a sudden the Facebook algorithm, you couldn't even share it. I mean, it's gotten to the point where we're headed for like the Committee on Disinformation in Washington. That's where we're headed.
Well, it's the Ministry of Truth, just like right out of Orwell.
Yeah. And you want to know something? Honestly, at this point, you know, if you're a journalist, you know, going out into the field, part of why you are independent is so you don't have to work for a corporation like NBC or MSNBC. And YouTube, back in its heyday, when it allowed Cenk Uygur and these people to become so big with the Young Turks, it was because it was truly YouTube. It was organic. Anyone could rise or sink based on their content, you know, their talent, whatever. But now it really is it's FuTube, because the truth is you can't. I mean, if I am independent and I am not taking corporate money and I'm not taking $20 million from Jeffrey Katzenberg and I'm just me with a GoFundMe and paid members and I go out to these rallies and this and that, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I'm talented, if we're asking the right questions, if we're covering stories that, you know, others aren't, if nobody could see it. That's the other scandal that's just been normalized. You said people at YouTube told you there is no separate algorithm. They admitted it. They 2 years ago said we are going to elevate authoritative news. That was their word, authoritative news, like CNN and yes, Fox News. They left out the rest of it, which was we're gonna bury the rest of you.
That's right.
I mean, in the lead up to this union fight in Alabama, anytime I put Amazon in the headline, the views were anemic. It's not a coincidence what's going on. You know, they're targeting certain words and headlines. They're targeting certain topics. They're certainly targeting certain channels. And honestly, at a certain point, I mean, this is not an ego thing, like whether you like me or don't like me, like Jimmy or don't like Jimmy, hate Alex Jones, you know, whatever. At this point, they have shown that they're going to use as an excuse to get rid of Alex Jones or whomever. They're going to, under the cloak of that, they're going to try and get rid of anti-war voices, anti-capitalist voices, you name it. They're going to try to get rid of those voices, but everybody's going to be looking over here and like, yay, they got rid of Alex Jones, so nobody will care about all the rest. And you know, honestly, Jimmy, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I was wrong about this. At first, I thought, you know what, Alex Jones to me was an exception. But at the end of the day, they have shown you can't let them do anything, because if you let them remove Alex Jones or, you know, even the worst of the worst, they're just going to use it as an excuse to go after Jimmy Dore or Status Quo or whomever else, and they're doing it. And I don't know the answer, but what I do know is, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you're being told, oh, this is your last warning, or you're getting a strike, or, you know, which comes with the threat of removal after a few, it's a slippery slope, because people, I see the responses, well, Jordan, go to Rockfin, go here, go there. Yeah, we're doing that. But like you said, unfortunately, until something dramatically changes, most people, most users are congregated on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, and it's by design. The internet is rigged that way to bring them there. So yeah, it's really scary. And frankly, I did not get into this line of work for Google to tell me what is the proper context for my videos and for my work.
So let's take a look at some of this. So Jackson Hinkle tweeted out, YouTube is silencing independent left creators by shoving us down the algorithm. Don't believe me? Check out how much our average subs have dropped in the past month. So this was before my sub growth is it used to be 1,000. I used to get 1,000 new subscribers a day. And now the new algorithm is in, I get 100. So that went from 30,000 new subs a month to 3,000 subs a new month. So it'll take me, I don't know, 10 years to reach 1 million subscribers. Whereas I was going to reach it inside 1 year. And so now so he goes, secular talk is down almost 90%. The Convo Couch down 70%. The Dive, his show is down 70%. Bad Faith, which is Brianna Joy Gray's, Bernie's former press secretary, down 70%. So there it is. There's Jimmy Dore's show down 4. Now it's way worse than this since he did this. Way worse. So the algorithm is strangling us. And here's you. After YouTube and Cheap TV has taken down 7 to 10 reporting videos from status quo of Trump supporters' bogus election fraud claims, which we challenged, they're now warning us that we'll get a strike and a week ban if more are found. So you've been preemptively having to take down videos on your own goddamn channel because you're afraid YouTube's going to go through your videos and looking for infractions that they have a different standard for CNN, ABC, and everybody else. And here you are again, you're saying, honestly, the way things have been going on YouTube with our subscriber growth and views nosediving because of its suppression of our content, I genuinely don't know how much longer status quo can survive, so please support us. And here's the stupid warning they gave you. Your content was removed due to violation of our community guidelines. Because it's the first time, your account isn't affected. You're only warned once, and then that warning will remain on your channel. What the? I mean, that's chilling. Warning on April 7th. There it is. Trump supporters were set up by Antifa at Capitol attack. So,
and in that video, by the way, it was a flag drop in New York City. They were dropping the Trump flag last month. My cameraman pushed back on them.
Yeah.
The only problem is he wasn't wearing a CNN hat, apparently. Yeah. That's the only difference, because he did push back on them. By the way, it's not easy when you're in the field around a bunch of, some of them are not so sane, and some of them are violent.
Yes.
I've gotten into some pretty tense situations with Trump supporters in 2016 and 2020. But I pushed back pretty fiercely, way more than a CNN bump on a log. But if you are CNN, YouTube says, oh, well, they were more educational, and they were more this, and they were more that. It's absurd. And at the end of the day, for me, why I said I don't know how we could survive, because with this censorship is also coming mass suppression. So, for example, for status quo, sometimes we got complaints, stop asking for money. Well, just to go to Flint or just to go anywhere, out the door, for me and a cameraman, you're talking $2-3 grand, flights, rent a car, hotels, just to be on the road. So if YouTube is suppressing us to the point, you said you're getting 3,000 subscribers. I'm lucky if we're not losing subscribers every month right now. We are losing subscribers every month, which was not the case before. So for me, can I as a business spend $3 grand to go to Flint or anywhere else to cover stories CNN is certainly not covering if we're going to go live to 150 people? I mean, that's that's where we're at, because we have to make some money to live. I mean, unfortunately, but so it goes hand in hand. What YouTube is doing, it's been normalized and accepted that they're basically rigging their algorithm to flood your feed with Wolf Blitzer, Chuck Todd, why was Wolf Blitzer getting like 3,000 views 5 years ago, but now everybody loves Wolf Blitzer? Yep. It's ridiculous. And like you said, I mean, I saw you were roaring, particularly the last year or so. I mean, you're getting more views live than TYT. But then all of a sudden, did people start, just check out? They don't find Jimmy, informative or, funny? No, it's because people aren't seeing you. I have viewers telling me, not only on YouTube, Jordan, I don't even see your tweets. I have 114,000 Twitter followers. I think I get at the most 20 retweets. it's preposterous. And it's not like an ego thing, but like for Status Quo, my personal Twitter was a way of bringing people over to Status Quo. So they're really hitting us at all possible angles. And I think, regardless of what people think of different personalities on the internet or, whatever, you got to support whatever independent media you can, because this is an information war and they've rigged it.
Well, can I just add real quick? I mean, I know this was kind of a sidebar of this whole conversation, but Section 230, repealing it is not the answer because it's more extensive than just social media platforms. And Trump wanted to repeal it, and Biden actually does too. The solution, and I don't know all the details, like that needs to be fine-tuned, but I think the only solution is a real digital Bill of Rights that needs to be bold, that needs to dictate how these platforms need to operate, and needs to include stuff like net neutrality as well. I think it's just time for a digital Bill of Rights, and it needs to be a real one.
Yeah.
How about a regular Bill of Rights first?
Yeah.
I'm daring to dream, Jordan. I'm daring to dream.
Rod, they took away habeas corpus. Maybe we work on that first. Literally. So we are living in an Orwellian nightmare, and that's what people don't realize. So here's what Glenn Greenwald said. He said, the people who have agitated and are still agitating for more and more online censorship, led by journalists at the New York Times, CNN, and NBC, are not only destroying the remnants of free internet, but also wrecking the livelihoods of many independent journalists. Features, not bugs. That's exactly right. So what they want to do is they want to shut down people like Jordan Sheraton. They want to shut down places like the Jimmy Dore Show because we're the ones that are actually going to push back against the establishment, and we're getting more views and traction than CNN. Right? We showed you that video where they were complaining on CNN that there are YouTube shows that get more views than they do. And we got to somehow shut that down. So they don't want competition. And that's what that is, because so Jordan Sheraton does not manufacture consent. That's what they want us to do. And so they're going to push the news outlets that do that. I said do. So anyway, Jordan, you have a Substack. Tell people about your Substack.
We haven't launched it yet, so I'm actually I made signs for you.
Okay.
I'm actually pushing people to our email list because honestly, if we're kicked off YouTube, this is honestly the best thing to make sure we could reach out to people on our email. We're not TYT, so you will not get an email 3 times a day asking for money, maybe once a week. But definitely, if you can, check on our email list, statusquo.pub/email. And we're also, Jimmy, honestly, at this point, we're going to try Twitch because it's not being suppressed yet. So we're also on twitch.tv/statusquo. And it's really chilling what's going on. It's really sad also that it takes Fox News to do a fair article. They are the only ones that have covered this. Matt Taibbi did something a couple weeks ago on, us being censored, others being censored. But I don't know. Everybody else is pretty much silent on it. I appreciate you, of course, having us on. And it's really, really chilling because there are very, very few independent outlets, period, much less ones that are like, out in the country covering stories in communities. And YouTube's basically, trying to just get rid of them. So I really appreciate you having me on and covering this.
I wonder what happens when you Google YouTube suppression. I wonder what the Google algorithm is for YouTube suppression. I should have did that before the show just to see what the fuck it is. They should change it from YouTube to use to be YouTube. Or I don't know.
Hey, Jimmy, I don't want to, create a scandal here, but shame on the Young Turks. I have not heard a damn thing from the Young Turks. Whatever they think of me, I don't really care. But the Young Turks, supposedly, home of progressives, the big independent outlet. Where are you on the entire independent leftist media market being flooded and being buried. I guess they're not affected.
They're cheering. They're cheering it on.
They don't want to be rivaled.
They're cheering it on, Jordan. That's where the fucking Young Turks are. Are you kidding me? They love that you're being suppressed. You're out there doing real journalism. Young Turks will never do journalism. They haven't done journalism since you left. Are you fucking kidding me? They're not. They're very happy. They're very pro censorship, as I've revealed. They're very anti-union. They're very anti guys like you and me, and they're on the corporate algorithm, so they don't give a shit. You're exactly right. My live stream numbers are double what the Young Turks live stream numbers are. Yet they're supposed to have 6 million subscribers. Do you believe that number? And I don't even have 1 million. Yet somehow I'm doubling their live stream viewers. Now their videos, when they drop them, it goes on the corporate algorithm. So whenever they put Trump in a title, it gets 300,000 views. But if they do a regular news show story, no one watches their videos. Just so you know, unless their video gets caught up in the corporate algorithm. So I don't know how much longer the Young Turks are going to be around. They're going bankrupt. And when you watch Cenk Uygur, his eyes are bloodshot and he looks panicked. And that's why he's glad that people like you are being suppressed and people like me are being suppressed, because they got nothing. They turned into the thing that they were supposed to be the antidote to. And now that's why they're pushing for, they'll never cover this. Cenk Uygur has people on his board named Jeffrey Katzenberg. He has a board. He has a board of millionaires, millionaire media moguls like Jeffrey Katzenberg sit on the board of the Young Turks. You think he's ever going to fucking talk about this or retract his smear of Julian Assange? He'll never retract that smear of Julian Assange, ever, or be pro-union. So you're right. You're right to say all that stuff, Jordan. All right. Well, listen, everybody, go ahead.
And might just add, it goes without saying, if you can, go to Status Quo on YouTube, click the subscribe, hit the bell, whatever shit they tell you to do. But we are on YouTube. We exist. You might not see us because they bury us, but youtube.com/statusquo, COUP. We appreciate it.
And they won't even give us a list of words. We've asked them to YouTube. Will you give us a list of words that you guys don't allow in the headlines so you won't demonetize my video? Because you can't put Syria, you can't put terrorism, you can't put Palestine, you can't put Israel, you can't put war, you can't put Fredo. Do you know if you put Fredo in the title of your new, they will demonetize that? They did that to us. Fredo was the word. So then we have to take it down, re-upload it as a totally new file, take Fredo out, and then it's monetized. That's how much YouTube and Google are the establishment protecting the other establishment.
I think Trump and Putin are okay, though.
Yes, you can put Trump and Putin all day long. All right. I wonder when they're going to start not letting you say demented, because Joe Biden is demented. So I wonder when they're going to start stopping you from putting that in. All right, everybody, check out Jordan Sheridan's show. We need more shows like Jordan Sheridan's, not less. So, Greg, great job. Thanks for doing it. You're not still mad at me, are you, Jordan?
No, I can't stay mad long.
Oh, okay, good. All right, we had a little tiff the other night. We're back to being friends. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.